Hi, let's talk about Outlaw Stage 2, which is what I call siege and coercion. The objective here is to cut off support to all the cancer cells and compel them to act involuntarily, behaving in ways that will lead to their own death. For me, I stepped into Stage 1 pretty quickly, and then afterwards I added the Stage 2 tactics. So let's get started. There's two chemical pharmaceuticals that I added in Stage 2. The first is a statin drug, and for me that's atorvastatin. I don't have a cholesterol problem, but research shows that atorvastatin alone will result in a moderate inhibition of cancer cells, cancer proliferation, and can be pro-apoptotic. But additional research shows that when you combine that with my next two drugs, the combination of atorvastatin with aspirin, just a basic Bayer aspirin, has a strong combined effect inhibiting growth and promoting apoptosis in cancer cells. But when also taken in combination, atorvastatin with aspirin with metformin, they strongly inhibit the growth of tumors, strongly inhibit the growth. So AM and PM, I take a 40 milligram atorvastatin, an 81 milligram Bayer aspirin, the low dose Bayer aspirin, and 500 milligram metformin. I don't have high cholesterol or diabetes. I take them for cancer. So then the natural medicines that I added in the siege and coercion stage begin with an isolate from a Chinese plant known as the sweet wormwood. It's called artemisinin. It's found to be cytotoxic for cancer cells and works in 5 different ways. It's anti-proliferative and anti-angiogenic. It induces apoptosis. It causes oxidative stress on cancer cells, and it reduces drug resistance. It can actually make your system, make the cancer more sensitive to chemotherapies. More importantly, artemisinin compounds have been shown to sensitize cancer stem cells to ferroptosis by regulating iron homeostasis. Now, homeostasis is another one of those words that we all forgot as soon as the 8th grade biology test was over, but it's the normal balance. So by regulating the balance of iron in the body, helping to regulate, artemisinin can sensitize those cancer stem cells because the cancer stem cells are high in iron. So I intend to prevent a reoccurrence. That's the main thing I'm trying to accomplish here. So I have to kill those cancer stem cells, and I take 500 milligrams of artemisinin twice a day. Now I also take, as another natural medicine in siege and coercion, in stage 1, I told you about all the apoptotic compounds, natural compounds, the CBD oil and all that I take, because they're so pro-apoptotic. But in the siege stage, I'm adding even more natural compounds that cause apoptosis in the form of mushrooms, and lots of them. I take chaga, lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail, cordyceps, a few others. There's a capsule that I found that has a high bioavailable form of all these different types of mushrooms. And then I found a chaga tincture that I didn't actually find it. One of my great friends from grad school, he actually has a farm, and he's up in the state of Maine now, and chaga mushrooms grow all over his farm, and he makes a tincture and that he sends me. But if I mix that in with a cup of hot water and let it steam off, and I drink a couple of cups of that a day, just trying to add more natural apoptotic compounds that have no side effects to me. They don't hurt healthy cells, but boy, they sure seem to be cruel to cancer cells, which is my goal. So then, thirdly, the metabolic therapies. There's actually a lot to discuss for stage 2. This siege of cancer cells, in addition to the low sugar, low carb diet, no sugar really, low carb diet that I'm eating. I also use a variety of treatments to try and make my body as inhospitable to the cancer cells as possible. And I'm trying to lay a foundation to weaken and prepare the cancer stem cells to be killed. So one of the things I do, cancer cells hate heat. Matter of fact, surgeons use heated chemo in HIPEC surgeries. Why would they heat the chemo? Because cancer cells don't like heat. They can't handle heat. So it makes sense to me to spend time in an infrared sauna. Elevate the body temperature. It's known as hyperthermia instead of falling into an icy lake and getting hypothermia. Hyperthermia heats the body. 3 to 4 times a week, I spend about 45 minutes in a 130-degree sauna. I do some isometrics in there, try to make things get a little hotter. I'll do some planks and push-ups, just trying to squats, trying to stress the body, heat the body up a little more and stress out the cancer. I think there's some detox benefits to that as well. So that's one thing, one metabolic strategy, treatment. Another one, once a week. And I do the sauna 3 or 4 times a week. I can't remember if I said that or not. Once a week, I'm doing IV vitamin C, and I get 75 grams. So most people take, well, not most, maybe a lot of people take a vitamin C supplement, a capsule, and it's maybe 500 milligrams, and they might take 1 or 2 of those a day and get maybe 1,000 milligrams in a day. Well, by getting an IV of 75 grams, that's the equivalent of 75,000 milligrams. Yes, it's a high dose. I don't have side effects from it. And I can tell you that high dose IV vitamin C in combination with doxycycline in 2017 was shown to be a lethal combination in targeting cancer stem cells. There is research on that. And again, all of the research, if you go to the resources page on the website, scroll down to the downloads, there's a PDF. One of them's titled Protocol Med Research. And all these research trials, the links are all there. So I also have what's known as a KRAS mutation, and that makes the cancer resistant to chemo and radiation. There was an NIH study in 2020 that shows that high-dose IV vitamin C could selectively kill KRAS and BRAF mutant cancer cells, kind of like a Trojan horse. It actually enters the cancer cell through the GLUT1 energy pathway to attack and actually kill the cancer cells, the cancer stem cells. So again, I'm trying to prevent reoccurrence, so I need to stop and kill as many of the cancer stem cells as possible, because the stem cells produce the cancer cells that grow into tumors. So finally, once a week, I'm also doing an hour in a hyperbaric oxygen tank. Now this is an actual steel tank. It's got a couple of windows, but I get about 2.2 to 2.4 times the atmospheric pressure, and it forces oxygen deep into my body and tissue. And cancer cells, one of the things they do is they mutate to enable the fermentation process, so they don't have to rely on you consuming glucose or having glucose available for energy. They can take starches, all carbs, sugar, starch, and fiber, They can also take proteins and ferment that into energy. It's an ancient energy process, but to be able to ferment, you have to block oxygen. You have to have an anaerobic environment, no oxygen in the cell. So by forcing oxygen deep into the tissue and introducing oxygen to those cancer cells, I think there's a good chance that the hyperbaric oxygen tank forces oxygen into those cells, blows up their ability to ferment and create energy, which would then cause the cell to die of starvation because of a lack of energy. They can't produce energy, and they can't convert back to using glucose instantly either. So it's taken advantage of a weakness that we know the cancer cells have, and research shows that hyperbaric oxygen therapy has the potential to kill cancer stem cells and reduce the cancer cell's ability to resist therapies. So there's also research that shows that hyperbaric oxygen is complementary to treatments like chemo. So keto diet, hyperthermia, infrared sauna, and hyperbaric oxygen used in combination, these 4 treatments have increased survival rates and appears to be a very promising advance in the treatment of cancer in a lot of countries. I don't know that anyone is really pursuing that hard in the US as far as the medical community goes. I've not seen research from the US, but in places where cancer is just as big or a bigger problem, like China, for example, there's a ton of research on the combination of chemo, keto, hyperthermia, infrared sauna, and hyperbaric oxygen. So along with the counterattack stage 1, this is my siege and coercion battle plan, to relentlessly apply pressure, exploit the weaknesses of the cancer cells, and try and weaken the stem cells, both with metabolic treatments and with medicines, natural and chemical medicines, to try and prevent recurrence. And my next step is Outlaw stage 3, where I really attack a kind of a guerrilla attack, pulsing attacks on the cancer stem cells. And stage 3 is my attempt to cause ferroptosis that would kill those cancer stem cells. It's a 3-week pulse with very specific meds and a large stop doing list. We'll get into that in the next video. We'll see you there.